And you can't be an expert in something and not know the business side of it because you'll be broke.
I am here with Stephanie. She is a wellness expert and the owner of Prana Wellness. Stephanie, thank you very much for joining today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Can you tell me about your business and the services that you offer?
Yes. So Prana Wellness, I'm a clinical yoga therapist. So I deal with gut health, chronic pain, and anxiety through the tools of yoga. So we focus on one-on-one healing through the tools of yoga, as I mentioned, one-on-one clinical therapy practice. And then we also offer corporate wellness programs. So prior to coming to Japan, that was my focus mostly. Corporate wellness programs, building programs, and corporate retreats, trainings for companies to practice wellness. So that kind of took a back seat to yoga therapy as I finished my yoga therapy international certification. And so I decided that I wanted to aid in the healing more of people because I noticed that in group classes, I would always get people asking for more and saying, what should I do about my back? What should I do about my stress levels? And so I wanted to be more active part of their healing. So that's what I do. Corporate events, wellness, and then yoga therapy.
Clinical therapy.
Yes.
That's a little more intense, a little more serious than just any like a health consultation, right?
Yes. So a lot of people, most people actually have no idea what yoga therapy is. So I'm here to tell you. Yes. So I actually, when I was a yoga instructor, I had no idea what yoga therapy is. I've been practicing yoga since 2010. And I decided to become an instructor in about 2017. I traveled to India, which we'll get to. I didn't know what yoga therapy was, but I knew there was more to yoga because of what I experienced myself in India. I felt healing and I felt just different from yoga. And so when I came back, I learned what yoga therapy was. A friend just suggested, you should do the yoga therapy program. And I said, what? So clinical yoga therapy, so international certification, CIAYT is the credential. So it's Certified International Association of Yoga Therapists. That's a mouthful, right? But it's an international governing body. It's almost like, the medical board or whatever. And it's 4 years of schooling that I did. So people think that, it's just a certification, something you do for a 2-week training. No, it's actually 4 years, like an actual degree. And we train with medical doctors, we train with chiropractors, physiotherapists, mental health therapists, and we are trained to work alongside them to heal through the tools of yoga. So we study Ayurveda, we study the systems of the body, musculoskeletal system, cardiovascular system, things like that, over 4 years. And all this is just through the lens of yoga.
Many medical degrees.
Oh, yes, it is. So when people always say, they're like, so it's a yoga class. I'm like, actually, it's definitely not a yoga class.
More than that.
Yes.
What are you allowed to do? I'm sure it gets to a point where then you got to refer them out to a specialist.
Yes. So we are trained in our scope of practice. So just like a mental health therapist has a scope of practice, they can't, do X, Y, Z that, let's say, a medical doctor can do. They can't diagnose certain things unless they're a psychiatrist. But for us, for yoga therapists, we are not mental health therapists, nor are we medical doctors. But what we do is we help alleviate symptoms. We help people live a more balanced life. So let's say, for example, you come to me experiencing a backache and you've tried all the Western medicine things. And I'm telling you, let me take a look at your lifestyle. Let me take a look at your diet, at your daily habits, what you're doing every day that is contributing or could be contributing to this pain. And I'm not going to treat you for your back pain the same way that I would treat, let's say, your cousin, because you all live in 2 different bodies, right?
Right.
Whereas sometimes, not all the time, sometimes medical doctors will say, okay, this is what you do for a backache. You take this particular pill and it's one size fits all.
Just prescribe the medicine.
Yes. Yoga therapy is very much comprehensive. It's very tailored to the individual. So that's why it's one-on-one. I ask for a comprehensive intake, talk about mental health, spiritual health, physical health, emotional, all the things. I ask people how much they poop every day because that's important, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would not believe how related your colon is to pain. So related, and to stress. And people don't correlate.
I learned that recently. I didn't know that before.
Yes.
How does that kind of service translate to the corporate services that you offer? It's not quite the same because it's not one-on-one.
So with corporate, I'm still teaching people how to use their bodies to feel better. And so with corporate wellness, we focus on yoga, breath work, the physical practice of yoga, because yoga is all the things in your lifestyle, but we focus on the physical practice of yoga, breath work, and meditation. And so I will create a wellness program for a company. Like, say, for example, you want to bring me into your office of 50 people, and you want every 2 weeks, you want a yoga program.
And you create a custom.
Yes, and I'll create a custom program for them. Or they might say, hey, we want to do a 3-day retreat. Just one time, but it's 3 days. It's all out, all fitness and wellness. So I would curate something like that. Or we could do a training. So a wellness education training. I do a lot of keynote speaking. I have a series called Wellness for the Working Mind. And so through that, I talk about productivity. I talk about burnout. I talk about managing yourself, self-care for leaders, working on a team, but all from a wellness perspective. So everything I say always has some wellness perspective.
Right, absolutely.
Because think about all these big companies. Say you're overseeing 1,000 people, right? And they're getting sick all the time. They have a backache. Their kids are sick. They are stressed out. They have high anxiety. They don't want to come to work. They don't want to
So it's for the employee who's getting the treatment, but for the company, because they're actually getting healthy employees.
Yes, that's my biggest pitch to companies actually is retention, because you will spend less on healthcare costs if you invest in a program like this. And then you will have happier employees and more productive employees because you're contributing to their overall health. You don't want employees that are always complaining and sick and want to go home because they're so stressed out.
Right.
You know, I've been there.
Did you work with any big companies that I might know?
You might know the name. So I was formerly a CNN producer for 7 years. CNN, the international news company. I'm sure you
think I've heard
that. So it was interesting because everyone was like, oh, were you a journalism major? Actually, not at all. I double majored in international relations and Spanish, but I used my international relations degree to pivot to journalism to give me an edge, saying that I wasn't a traditional journalism major. However, I have the international experience because I wanted to work for CNN International. And CNN is global, right? So I spent 7 years doing...
Any of your current work there, or it was just straight up the...
So it was very heavy production. It was very breaking news oriented. I found I was not myself. I felt extremely stressed and burnt out and tired.
And where was this? So
I was in Atlanta at the headquarters. And then I went from Atlanta. I was moved to LA to launch a show, CNN International LA. So I moved to LA, and that's where I spent 3 years, launched that new show, and then I left after 3 years in LA. I loved it most of the time. I will say I loved the people there, and it was a fun job. You know, they say everything that glitters ain't gold. That's what they say. This was very glittery at the time because I was very young. I was in my early 20s. I was booking high-profile guests all the time. I was the guest producer. So I was reaching out to guests, to big names. I was going to all the Hollywood parties when I was in LA. I was being invited to things. It was fun. It was fun for a long time until it wasn't.
Point you decided enough is enough. I'm out. And then tell me about, I know you have a really interesting story. Tell me about your journey from transitioning from a corporate job to what you do now. So
the turning point for me was actually a panic attack I had at work. It was 2018, and I had no idea what anxiety was. Just like I didn't know what yoga therapy was. I didn't know what anxiety was. I had never studied it. I didn't experience it in my body. So I didn't know what I was experiencing, but I knew I felt a heaviness on my chest, and it was months. It was for months. I felt heaviness in my chest, right? Ignore, because the hours I was working 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. sometimes.
Don't have time to
Yes, I was working overnight, sometimes 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I was working sometimes the day side shift, but it was always breaking news. It was always constant emergencies, right? And so I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't myself. I wasn't prioritizing my wellness because I was prioritizing being on all the time, right? So one day at work, I felt just like jitters. My hand was shaking. My heart was beating out of my chest. It felt like I could see my heart over there. It was beating out of my chest, and I didn't know what to do. So I took a walk. I walked around the building 3 times, and I said, this is going to go away. I'm just going to take a walk. I took a walk.
Walk it off, right?
Yeah, it did not work. My heart was still beating out of my chest. I was picking up a friend at the airport that day. And this friend also happened to work for CNN. We were very close. And I was picking her up from the airport. I'm driving there and I told her what was happening. And she said, you need to take yourself to the emergency room right now.
That was a great idea.
So I didn't go at first. I went to Walgreens, the drugstore, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to take my blood pressure. I'm going to take my blood pressure, see if I'm dying or not. And then I'll move on. I'll go to the airport and get my friend. So I make it to Walgreens, check the blood pressure, it's super high, go to the airport, pick my friend up. And she said, Stephanie, drive to the ER. So I finally did. I spent 8 hours in the ER. Oh, wow. I thought I was having a stroke or a heart attack because heart disease also runs in my family. So I didn't know what that was. 8 hours later, they said, Stephanie, you're completely healthy. You are stressed out. You're having a panic attack. I was like, well, great. Thanks. So I was relieved. I was kind of relieved. But at the same time, I was like, how did this happen? How did I get here? So it made me take a step back and realize that I needed to take control of my health and prioritize myself. And I needed to rethink things. So at that time, I asked my boss for a leave of absence to go. I said, can I have a leave of absence to go study yoga in India? And he was like, what? And we were close at the time. He's a great guy.
Coming back.
Right. But he was like, who are we going to do for 6 whole weeks? While you're, traveling in India, you're learning yoga. And I was like, well, I don't know, but
I need to go.
So I went, but I went because I quit. I quit CNN. And then 3 days after my last day, I left for India. And India was really the turning point.
How long were you there for?
So I was in India for 6 weeks. I had no idea that the transformation that was happening to me was going to happen. It was mental. It was physical. It was hard. I resisted it. When I arrived in India, I was filled with anxiety. I was still feeling that burnout symptoms, I was completely burnt out. I was
been there before?
It was horrible. What'd you say?
Had you been there before?
No. And I was by myself. Completely different place. But you know what? It wasn't really necessarily that. It was where my mind was. I was mentally unprepared.
Did you book everything in advance, or it was more of an adventure and you found things there?
No. So I signed up for a yoga teacher training, but it was for personal growth. That's what I said at the time. I'm signing up for this yoga teacher training. I love yoga. I just want to learn more, take a break from work, and that's it. That was my plan at first. I got there 2 weeks in. I was high anxiety. I could not sleep in India. I was eating poorly just because I couldn't eat. It was weird. A place I had never been before, right? At the 2-week mark in India, something hit me. It was like a light shone down on me. And I was like, this is what I need to be doing. Wellness. This is my passion. This has to be my business, right? And so from there on, I decided that I was going to tear up my resumes when I got back, and that this was going to be my business, not just a passion, a hobby of mine. Because I had no intention of starting a business at all. I was just going to a yoga training.
When you first started the business, what was the initial offerings? What did you come up with first?
Funny enough, the first name of Prana Wellness was actually Travel Slave Fitness. Don't ask. It was weird. I was attached to that name, and I always hold a place in my heart for that name because it was the first business name I came up with. But the point of Travel Slave Fitness was to promote fitness through travel, because I love both. So I would curate retreats where people could travel and practice wellness at the same time. So that was the focus at first, wellness retreats. Not just one thing, not just a yoga retreat or just a boot camp retreat. It was all of the above, overall wellness. So I did that for the first not even a year. And I started curating these corporate wellness packages, and I decided I wanted to focus on that. It was more sustainable, scalable as a business. And they were like, you have to change your name. It was actually a stranger, someone who watched me do a pitch competition. I'll never forget Daniel. I was a part of a startup incubator program, which I always recommend to people. And I was learning as I was going. And a stranger at the time came up to me and said, you need to change your name from Travel Slave Fitness because I wasn't doing that anymore. I was doing corporate wellness.
So did you pick Prana?
So Prana, do you know what that means?
I did research. I had to, but I would like to hear from you.
Yes. So Prana means life force, energy, breath, right? Your prana is running through your entire body from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. So your prana is your breath. And so I wanted prana literally to be a life force, like life-giving force.
They have that in Hawaiian too, is the ha in Hawaii. It's also the breath.
Yes, yes. And chi, in Chinese medicine, it's chi and prana are the same.
Okay.
So it's energy flowing through you. So prana wellness is the name that I came up with. I focused on corporate wellness. Then I started adding in the corporate retreats, the speaking. And then when I started yoga therapy school, of course, that's when I had a mental shift. And I said, you know what? My gift is really in the healing part, in teaching people how to take care of their own bodies. So many people don't know how to take care of themselves, you know, and it's not like I'm waving a magic wand. I'm skilled, yes. I'm an expert, yes, but I'm not waving a magic wand to heal people. I'm showing you how to do it. I'm giving you the tools and the knowledge to do it. That's the key. Most people just don't know what their body needs. And that's what yoga therapy does. It's self-study.
That's awesome. Tell me, you mentioned just a little while ago, the incubator. Is that what you did? Yeah. Talk more about it. How was your experience with it? How did that help you?
So I am connected to those people to this day. Shout out to Grid 110 in LA. That is
Grid 110?
Yeah, Grid 110. I think now they have a couple iterations of it, so it may go by another name. But at the time, it was Grid 110, and it was for LA County entrepreneurs. But these were entrepreneurs that were starting, you know, they were just starting, fledglings, as we say, just starting out, seeking funding, seeking capital, things like that, learning the ropes. And so when I started, I had I told you, I went to India to learn how to do headstands. I was not there to start a business. I had no idea what I was doing as a business owner. I didn't know marketing. I didn't know legal. I didn't know finance. I didn't know how to make a flyer, nothing.
So they cover all of those aspects.
So what they did was, it was an incubator. So that means they kind of held us, right? It was 12 weeks. And over those 12 weeks, it was a cohort of 20, maybe 20-ish of us. And they taught us the marketing. They taught us the scalability. We had a, what do you call it? The Canva, the lean canvas business model. They taught us that, how to market, how to find your audience, basic things, because I didn't know any of it. I didn't know any of the basics, but I would encourage people to be nimble and to learn, because you have to be willing to learn as an entrepreneur. I knew zero. I can't emphasize that enough. But I spent so much time studying what other people were doing. If you are a business owner and I'm not, I can learn from you and ask you questions, right? If you are somewhere that I want to be, then I should be asking you questions, right?
And that's usually what business owners won't do, is they start a business because they know the product service extremely well, but they don't know the administrative side of running a business and making it profitable.
Yes. So that's what my journey entailed at the beginning, was a lot of learning. So much just being a sponge, asking questions, being open. I took classes. I had mentors. I listened to lectures and went to events. I went to so many events as a fledgling entrepreneur in LA because I wanted to learn. I wanted this knowledge. And like you said, you can be an expert in one thing, right? I am an expert in wellness, but I was not an expert in business. And you can't be an expert in something and not know the business side of it, because you'll be broke.
So what kind of tips would you give to someone who's just starting? What were some of the main things that you learned by failing? Try it, do something.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Try it. Don't be afraid. Because I hear so many aspiring entrepreneurs say, it's not time. The time is not right. I just need to get this before. I just need to do that before. The time is now.
The time is now.
You have to do it scared, do it unsure. I mean, obviously everyone's financial situation and accessibility is different. So I want to acknowledge that, but also do it scared. Like, if you want to live, you will do it. Your brain.
And most likely you're not going to get it right the first time.
Yeah, you won't. I got it wrong a bunch of times. But your brain will activate and say, hey, we need to kick into gear here because you can't live in a shoebox. I was paying LA rent at the time I started to be an entrepreneur. I had a nice car. I was doing all the things from my CNN life.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I'm a broke entrepreneur. So guess what? My brain said, hey, we gotta make something happen here, right?
That's when you really shift.
Yeah.
Mindset.
So there's a shift in mindset, and then you just have to be willing. I would say be willing and open to receive feedback and to change. Because I've pivoted many times. Just like the name, it was Travel Slave Fitness. A stranger came and told me, this is not good. You have to pivot if you're doing corporate wellness. And I thought about it. And I said, you know what? You're right.
You had the perfect marketing pitch for you.
Yes. And so I think just be open to learning. Always try to learn more. Try to be the dumbest person in the room sometimes so that you can absorb from the people around you, right?
And how did you start getting corporate customers? Because that's challenging. You need to have, because you need the right connections. You cannot just walk up to the front desk and say, hey, let me tell you about my services. You got to be talking to the right person. It has to be the right environment, maybe the right referral. How did you start landing some of these corporate jobs?
So that was hard.
Companies.
And I hate sales. Let me just say that. I hate sales. What is the book that, I think it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he says everyone has to learn sales. You can be an expert in writing a book, but you have to learn sales. So I took that to heart and I started learning sales. I started studying it. I read a lot of Grant Cardone. I read a lot of people who sell a lot because you have to study them and what they're doing in order to do it. But at first it was cold calls. It was emails, it was old school. It was finding contacts on websites, looking at the bottom of the website and contacting the contact page, which is awful. It's so awful. You get like a 95% dead rate. Like they don't even respond to you, right? Totally. Then once I got in my rhythm, because I was in LA at the time when I started, leaned on my guest producing skills. So I was a networker. I'm a people person.
Did you go to networking events?
Oh yeah. So that's what became my bread and butter really with the corporate. I would go to every single networking event in LA. Everyone knew me in LA because I walked around with my business cards to every event. And a lot of them, this is pro tip, I would go to these HR events sponsored by big tech companies. I would find them on a website called Startup LA or Build LA, Built LA, something like that. And I would find tech HR events. And most people going there are people that are seeking employment. So I was standing out because I wasn't seeking employment. I was looking for the HR person to pitch.
They are the ones concerned about their employees.
Yes. So I was pitching them and I would pitch them on the spot. I would say, hey, how are you? This is what I do. This is what my company offers. I would love to offer this to your employees. Here's my card. Let's set up a call next week. I had my pitch ready every single time. And it would come across organic, like a conversation. I would start talking about health and wellness and the importance. And so it didn't come off as like, hello, I'm trying to sell you something, right? It came off very natural. At least I
don't hate sales. You're good at sales.
I'm good at it now.
Now selling.
Yes, exactly.
You build a connection first, you make them like you, and then they're going to listen to you. Otherwise, they won't listen to you.
Yes, I think now I'm good at it because it's become so much more organic. And because I love what I do so much, if you want to talk to me about wellness for 24 hours, I would do it. I love talking about wellness. And so that was my key in. Whatever you're an expert in, talk about it. And so beyond that, I had the events and I was getting corporate clients from the events because they could see me in person, hear what I do, book the call, and then do the things. Versus an email, you have no idea, I can't explain it. And then after that, it led to even more bookings and almost in different ways. This was more so for events and for trainings, workshops, things like that. But that was because I was teaching more. So I started using my speaking voice more because I love speaking. And I would do talks on panels. I would be a moderator. I would do talks at universities. And so people would hear me in the audience and say, oh, I heard you speaking to this, master's program students or whatever. And they would say, we want you to talk to this. So one of my biggest clients in San Diego, I did 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes on a Zoom call during COVID of breath work. That's it. I didn't say anything about wellness. I just did a breath work practice. Someone on that call saw me and reached out and said, we'd love to have this and more with our employees. Nice. And they became one of my biggest corporate clients.
Are they repeat customers? Like you, every 3-6 months?
So it really depends on the company. I mean, obviously, I think consistency is better. I mean, for me and for you, because if you're consistent, your employees are happier. If you do something once a quarter, I used to see all these companies and it would drive me crazy. They say, we have great wellness benefits. And they would say, we'll give you a Starbucks gift card if you take your blood pressure once a quarter, if you join this challenge once a quarter. And I'm like,
that's not enough.
That's not enough. And it's not consistent. Consistency is the key with wellness. And so what I was proposing to these companies is that you bring me in and my team. I had a team of coaches at the time. Bring us in to guide you each week. And so some companies would book twice a week, some companies once a week, some every other week. But the point is consistency, so that you're saying, then you can say you have a wellness program and you're advocating for their health. If you're saying I'm giving them Starbucks gift cards to do their body composition, like, that doesn't help.
Let's check.
Yeah. So I really found my niche when I used my social skills and my networking skills from CNN. I learned how to become a master networker. And so I used those skills to build relationships. One time I ended up working at a physical therapy office with someone who did chronic pain, because I offered to do a 90-minute chronic pain workshop with them. And he had no idea what yoga therapy was, right? I was already practicing yoga therapy. And I said, let me come. I'll offer a free 90-minute workshop to you and your clientele about chronic pain from my lens of yoga therapy. I did that, and he was in the back like, you know things. We need to do this. And so he invited me to be an associate of he put me on the wall and everything.
Oh, nice.
So it was nice because I got to see my clients there separately from his practice. We referred to each other. So clients that I couldn't, take on scope of practice wise, I would refer to him, and vice versa. He would refer to me. And it was great. But I formed that relationship from doing a free workshop and selling what I do.
So you've been here in Okinawa for how long now?
2 years.
So 2 years. How would you pivot your business to serve some clients back in the States, but then finding clients over here?
Yeah, it was hard. So like I mentioned before, you always have to be ready to pivot. And obviously here was a huge pivot from California. In California, I had lots of consistent corporate clients. I had consistent yoga therapy clients. And obviously the pricing, how expensive California is. So I had a different price range there. And I came here, I had to change my pricing. I had to change my audience because it's mostly military community or a Japanese community out here. And so my focus became the military community because that's who's here. Yes. So I had to plug in. I had to figure that out, how to advertise to them, to people who mostly have no idea what yoga therapy is. So I did events, I hosted events, I attended events, I spoke at events, on panels. I just made myself visible so that people know who I am and what I do. So that is the key, I would say, for sales as an entrepreneur.
Right.
Let people know who you are and what you do without forcing it, right? You sell popsicles on the street every day. Everyone should know that you are the popsicle person because you're walking around with a popsicle shirt, with popsicle earrings, and you're waving the popsicles everywhere, right? Right. So that's kind of what I do with wellness.
So on base, you just try to connect with everybody, I've seen you do some volunteer work. So you just put your name out there so people know about you, right?
Yes. So that has helped tremendously, just being a part of different organizations. People know who I am. I did have to get approval from my office. So I see mostly SOFA status individuals in my office one-on-one. And so I had to get approval for that. But figuring out, the nuances of the business in Japan was different.
Was it a difficult process to get that approval?
It took about 6 weeks, which I think was on the shorter end, because I've heard people taking like 3 or 4 months for their business to get approved. But you do need the approval. I see people one-on-one in my office, my home office. And then if I do anything corporate, it's usually stateside, virtual. So I do hold space for virtual clients in the morning. So here I have US clients from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., I see in-person clients at my home office. It's cool that I get to still be accessible to US virtually. I can still have corporate clients. I still do trainings and things like that. So people come to me and ask me things because they've seen me do the things, right? I've done a lot of talks.
How long have you been doing this?
So my business is 7 years old in November.
Awesome.
It will be 7 years old. Thank you. I am very happy about that.
Past that 5 years?
I know. They say that most entrepreneurs die at 5 years old. Most
first and second year, top.
Yeah.
And then if you can go past the 5th year, you're doing good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I made 1,000 mistakes. I made so many mistakes. But you have to learn from those mistakes. Right. Be willing to pivot. I've pivoted at least 4 times, at least, in my business. And you have to be willing to do that. But you have to know when. It's not always time to pivot. You shouldn't
Shouldn't give up too soon.
Yeah, don't give up too soon, but be smart and know when, okay, it's time to fold this part of the business. It's time to pivot. When I left, I focused more on yoga therapy here versus focusing on corporate, because here I didn't have as many corporate clients versus in LA, I could go physically to them, right? And so I focused more on the yoga therapy aspect here, but that was something that I had to discern, right, for myself. So it was a big change for sure, but I love it here. The Blue Zone is perfect for longevity and for my business. So it's really good.
And I saw in your website that you can help entrepreneurs grow their wellness business. Can you tell me more?
So that kind of came to me on accident. It was during COVID in 2020, people started asking me if I could coach them in business. And because it was multiple people asking me, multiple startup companies, I was like, sure, I can do it. And because I knew all of the things, because I learned them from scratch from other entrepreneurs. You know, I invested the time and sometimes the money into my own education, learning all the things about entrepreneurship. And so I kind of made that into a business. So I do specify that it's for wellness entrepreneurs because that's my expertise. I know how to build a wellness business because I've done it, right? I can't tell you how to build a finance business. But wellness, yes. But I will work with someone anywhere from a phone call to just get the basics, all the way to a 12-week program working with the C-suite people, training your leaders in your company on how to train and work with their employees. And if you don't have employees, how to do a B2B business. So business to business, how to pitch, how to build your lean canvas, how to find your target audience, social media marketing. I will take them through all of those things from a wellness business perspective because that's what I'm good at.
Okay. And then let me ask you this interesting question. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Where would you like to take your business? What's the ideal scenario?
So 10 years from now, I really want to be in the integrative medicine field, but I want to integrate with Western medicine because I find a lot of faults and gaps, educational gaps and problems with the Western medical system. And I don't want to just sit around and talk about it and complain about it. I want to be a part of the change. So I'm currently getting my master's in Ayurveda and integrative medicine. And I'm in my second year. So that will put me on track to be an Ayurvedic practitioner and an MS in integrative medicine. But what I'm seeing is a lot of my professors actually at school are not only PhDs, but MDs. So they're MDs that have sought out this holistic lane, so to speak, and have learned more and gotten certified in Ayurveda themselves. But there's so much that can be helped. There's so much room for growth within the medical community, specifically in the West and the US, that I see. So I would like to work with hospitals within the next 10 years, work with universities to bridge those gaps, really education gaps. Because think about a doctor. A medical doctor gets about this much, like literally 5 hours, maybe in some cases 25 hours over 6 years of nutrition training.
Right.
I've gotten more than that in just my last semester.
It's interesting how they almost on purpose keep that subject because maybe that's more profitable. I don't want to start any.
Well, food is medicine.
Theories.
Food is medicine, right?
Yeah.
And so what I do in yoga therapy is I look at the whole picture, and I'm not just putting Band-Aids on something. I'm looking at your whole person, your whole health, what you're doing with your lifestyle, your habits, your behaviors, things like that, your stress levels, because that will help me make an informed decision about how to treat you, because I'm not going to treat two people in the same way because you have two different bodies, you have two different minds, and you think differently. So that's what I love about yoga therapy and Ayurveda is it's so personal versus sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes Western medicine can be so one size fits all and just throw the pills at you and have a good day. Right. But pills are not the solution. You can take all the pills you want, but it's not going to solve the root cause of the problem if you're not changing your behavior, your lifestyle, your diet. All of those things matter. So that's what I would like to advocate for in the next 10 years, education and integrating integrative medicine and Ayurveda into Western medicine.
Great. Well, let's take this opportunity to have you use that camera there to promote your business, whether you're trying to hire her to help you with to grow your business, or if you have some pain, if you need help, or if you're a business and you want to hire Stephanie to be your health consultant, your expert?
Yes. So I am Prana Wellness Works on Instagram, Prana, Prana Wellness Works with an S. I live mostly on Instagram. I post a lot of health and wellness tips, things about chronic pain, gut health, and anxiety. Those are my specialties in the yoga therapy field. My website is the same as Instagram, pranawellnessworks.com. And then if you're a Facebook person, Prana Wellness Okinawa is where you can find me. And I love to offer tips. I also do a complimentary 15-minute consultation for yoga therapy. So if you have questions about gut health, chronic pain, anxiety, I'm here to help. Let's see and help you heal.
There you go. Now you have it. Please contact Stephanie. She is awesome. And thank you very much for taking the time to meet today. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we're going to be seeing each other before you leave Okinawa.
For sure. And thank you.